Council meeting for Monday, May 20th at 6 p.m. We just came out of closed session, and do you have anything to report out of closed session, Mr. Black?
Mayor, we're going to be returning to closed session after regular business.
Okay, thank you.
And recommend deferring the announcement till after that.
Thank you. Would you please take roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Gastineau?
Here.
Councilmember Shalong? Here. Councilmember Murray? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Holly?
Here.
And Mayor Ania.
Here, thank you. Please stand while Mr. Gastineau leads us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening for acknowledgments, we have none. Next is our consent calendar, and we have 4 items on the consent calendar: approval of our minutes, approval of our warrant claims, approval of our bi-weekly payroll, and the resolution to eliminate the employer-paid member contribution to PERS. Is there a motion for the consent calendar?
Before I make a motion, I just wanted to ask if Councilmember Murray had done enough research to feel comfortable with bringing this before us tonight.
I'm going to defer to our city attorney and ask him if he has any new information for us.
Can you turn on your microphone?
It is on.
Oh, it is? Oh, I couldn't even hear you down here.
Yeah, I couldn't even. Thank you. I'll turn it up a little.
Mr. Black?
Hello?
It's working. Mr. Black?
Yes, council members, I assume the reference is to item 4?
Yes.
There is a rule pertaining to compensation of council members, which provides that council member compensation can neither be increased nor decreased during the present term of a council member, which means that any action that you would take if we're talking about compensation would have to be deferred until 2014 after your next election. However, and so my initial reaction to this was, oh, well, this potentially violates that rule because it is a reduction in compensation during the present terms of council members.
But that doesn't make sense to me, because aren't we always, I mean, until we are no longer an elected official, we're always elected. So how can you explain to me how you can not increase or decrease while you are sitting in this position?
The increase always has to, let's just take an increase because it's the simplest example. An increase in your monthly stipend, for example, would always have to wait, no matter when you adopted it, would always have to wait until after the next election. And what it says is that if your seat, well, your seat, taking you specifically, is up in 2014.
Right.
Other members of the council, their seats are not. Their seats are not up until 2016. Okay. The ones who are up in 2016 do get the benefit of an increase that takes effect after the end of your term. So it's a little bit difficult to express, but in any event, no increase or decrease in compensation can take effect until after the next election. However, and initially I looked at that, or I looked at this resolution and I thought, well, that kind of violates that rule. But in fact, we would categorize this resolution as dealing with health and welfare benefits, which comes under a separate rule. And we would not categorize this as compensation. Therefore, you are allowed to enact this this resolution tonight.
Okay.
Does that make?
It does.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, it makes sense.
Did we get an amount, a monthly amount on what each council member will be paying from this point forward? Or in a ballpark?
Yeah, the ballpark, it's probably about $22 every 2 weeks.
Okay. All right.
All right.
The one thing I would just mention in passing, because no one else really has, your benefits are tied to an employee bargaining unit,
Right.
the CCMEA.
Okay.
The bargaining unit received an increase in their salary to offset the loss of the same benefit. And I would only point out for future reference that this is costing you the benefit, but you are not receiving any offsetting increase, unlike the unit that you're tied to. So it's a small, it's not a large dollar figure, but percentage-wise, it's a sacrifice on your part, more above and beyond what's being asked of other employees.
All right, I move to approve items 1 through 4 in the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Moved and second. Would you please take the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Gastineau?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holly?
Yes.
And Mayor Enia.
Yes. Next is reports and presentations, and we have none. Next is communication. This is the public comment period. Any member of the audience is invited to address the City Council on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the City of Crescent City. Comments of public interest or matters appearing on the agenda are accepted. Note, however, the Council is not able to undertake extended discussion or act on non-agendized items. Such items can be referred to staff for appropriate action, which may include placement on a future agenda. Any comments that are not made at the microphone or out of order will not be part of the record. After receiving recognition from the mayor, please state your name and city or county residency for the record. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Is there any public comment? All right, seeing no public comments, we will go to item number 5, and that will be adjourning to the Housing Authority. We'll go over, so we will adjourn our council meeting for a couple of moments, and I'll call to order the Crescent City Housing Authority. Please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Board Member Gastineau?
Here.
Board Member Shalong?
Here.
Board Member Murray?
Here.
Vice Chair Holly?
Here.
And Chairman Enia.
Here, thank you. Under communication is public comment on the Housing Authority. Is there any public comment regarding the Housing Authority? Seeing none, we'll go to the consent calendar. There's 2 items, approval of regular minutes of April 15th and approval of warrant claims for the period of April 16th through May 20th. Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you please pull the vote?
Yes, sir. Board Member Murray?
Yes.
Board Member Shalong?
Yes.
Board Member Gastineau?
Yes.
Vice Chair Holly?
Yes.
And Chairman Enia.
Yes, thank you. Housing Director report, there is none. And
Mr. Gastineau messed me up because he actually voted. He
Oh,
actually
did-
seconded something.
Public hearings, we have none. Continuing business, there's none. New business is none. And so then we will we'll adjourn to the next regular meeting, which is scheduled June 17th at 6 p.m. So we will adjourn the Housing Authority, and we'll adjourn now and call to order the Crescent City Successor Agency to the Redevelopment Agency. Could you please take roll?
Yes, sir. Board Member Murray?
Here.
Board Member Shalong?
Here.
Board Member Gastineau?
Here.
Vice Chair Holly?
Here.
And Chairman Enia.
Here, thank you. Is there any public comment on the Successor Agency to the Redevelopment Agency? Seeing none, we will go to the consent calendar for the approval of the regular minutes of April 15th and approve the warrant claims April 16th through May 20th. Is there a motion for approval?
So
to
moved.
approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you please pull the vote?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Board Member Gastineau?
Yes.
Board Member Shalong?
Yes.
Board Member Murray?
Yes.
Vice Chair Holly?
Yes.
And Chairman Enia.
Yes, thank you. There's no director's report. There are no business items or none. Public hearings are none. Under new business, item number 3, receive and file the finding of completion from the Department of Finance and next steps for the successor agency. And I believe Mr. McDonald talked about that last time?
Yes, sir.
He's going to speak again? Yes. Mr. McDonald, welcome.
Hello. It was good news. We got the finding of completion from the Department of Finance. So that kind of triggers the waiting period that we're in waiting for that. Now we got that document, we can begin what was called the Long Range Property Management Plan, LRPMP. That will take care of transferring the public buildings, the Housing Authority, PD, and City Hall into the city's name. And then there's a couple vacant lots that we'll have to figure out what to do with. So we'll probably come back to the council. The earliest would be the second meeting in June, more likely July or even August, because we have 6 months to prepare this report and forward it on. So we'll bring it back in front of the council as the successor agency. From that, we'll take it to the oversight board. And once they approve that, then it goes to the Department of Finance. And once they approve it, then that's the final step and everything's taken care of. A couple other steps, I think I mentioned them in the staff report. If not, the loan that the water utility had made to the redevelopment agency a few years ago, now that we got our finding of completion, we can actually record a note and start beginning payment back on that loan. So it will really trigger a lot of positive progress. So we'll just have to see how quick it goes from there.
20-year progress.
Yeah. But if there's any questions, I can try and...
Any questions of Mr. McDonald?
Just a comment, good work and congratulations on the notice of completion.
Yeah, it was not without a lot of effort on our part.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you.
Any public comment on the finding of completion for the Department of Finance for our successor agency? All right, seeing none, then we will go, we have no successor agency items, so we will adjourn the successor agency until June 17th at 6 p.m. and we will go back to our city council meeting. And we're at item number 7. First of all, we have no public hearings tonight. We're at item number 7, continuing business, and item number 7 is to consider and waive full reading by title only ordinance 774 of the City of Crescent City, amending sections 5.16.010 of the Crescent City Municipal Code pertaining to business license taxes, how and when payable. Mr. Palazzo? Mr. McDonald is going to, our finance director, Mr. McDonald.
Second reading on this.
Second reading.
Yeah, I should have updated the staff report because this is the second reading and it will be the adoption. This is basically taking our business license, which a couple years ago we changed it to July 1 through June 30th period and start billing it that way, and just recently realized that our municipal code didn't have that change reflected in here. So it's really just reflecting the change that's been in place the last 2 years.
Thank you. Is there any comment from the council members? Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Any public comment on this change?
Public hearing, correct?
It's a public hearing.
It's open in public hearing.
It's a public hearing. I'll open it, and this is regarding the change in the dates of...
This is not listed as a public hearing on the agenda.
No, it isn't listed.
I believe that we did a public hearing at the last meeting.
Yes, it's not
maybe?
listed.
It's not, it's under continuing business. Yeah.
It's continuing business. Okay, seeing no comments, I'll bring it back to the table.
I'll move to waive full reading and read by title only and adopt ordinance number 774 for the City of Crescent City, amending section 5.16.010 of the Crescent City Municipal Code pertaining to business license taxes, how and when payable.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Would you please pull the vote?
Thank you. Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Gastineau?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holly?
Yes.
And Mayor Enya.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we'll move to item number 8. This is new business, and this is to consider and waive full reading, read by title only, and we're introducing item 775, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Crescent City amending Chapter 5.100 of the Crescent City Municipal Code relating to the assessment amounts, billing and collection, payment plans, and penalties for, let's see, I don't have the, and penalties. This would be for, go ahead, Mr. Palazzo.
Okay, Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Thank you. Can you hear me? On
Yes.
the microphone? Great. And the next two items are focused on the Downtown Business Improvement District, and this item before you right now is specifically on the ordinance and some ordinance updates. The next item on the agenda we'll discuss more with the annual report from the Business Improvement District and a resolution of intent. to collect assessment. The ordinance before you this evening, we've been working with the downtown district, and they went through quite a process of recommending some amendments to the ordinance that is in your packet. It's entitled Advisory Board Suggested Changes. Staff went through those recommended changes with the city attorney, or assistant attorney, Martha Rice, and we made some recommendations to the council this evening. The significant changes are outlined in Exhibit A with a full ordinance, with all the changes that are recommended attached as ordinance number 775. The significant changes that are outlined are mainly identifying the assessment amount for the different business categories and time and manner the assessments are collected. So I don't want to go through and read everything for you that's in front of you, but if you have any questions at this point, I'd like to entertain those questions.
Mr. Palazzo, thank you. On 5.100.040B, where it talks about, there's references to nonprofit corporations, and those references have been taken out. Can you give me some history? Why was that in to begin with, and what was the interest or the intent when that was in there before?
I'll give it a shot and maybe have Mr. Black assist me on that. And typically when business improvement districts are formed, they're formed with the intent to form a 501c3, a nonprofit corporation, and that gives the district the ability, to collect, kind of do fundraising, collect different dollars, maybe from somebody that wants to just contribute, some dollars to that district. That would remove, that ability of the district. The district, has decided that they want to be connected, with the city. Basically, the city will assist in the collection of the fees and the management, of the district. That cover that, Bob?
Okay, thank you. That same section, it talks about all voting of the membership shall be based on one vote per assessment. And I know that was one concern from one of our constituents, was that if there's six assessments, do they get 6 votes in the membership?
If they're paying, say they have 6 different businesses in the downtown, then yes, they would have 6 votes because they would have they're paying on 6 assessments.
And I understood it wasn't like that, so that's good to know. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So then, does it, also at the last meeting, or the meeting before that, one of the concerns was that there were 2 members on the board from one business. Are they paying more than one assessment?
Well, that was incorrect. That was Mr. Miles. The other person rents out a booth space. They pay their own business license.
Right. But she also said that they didn't have a bid sticker in their window, but they do. So I was just curious.
Yeah. But it's 2 separate businesses.
That is my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have some. Currently, do nonprofits pay an assessment? Or I take that back. Currently, do nonprofits pay for a business license? No, they don't?
No, they do not.
Then why are we going to charge them $50 for an assessment if they don't even have to have a business license?
And I'll have Mr. Black, maybe address this. If there's a section, which code is it? Streets and Highways Code that allow districts such as this to collect an assessment within their district. So that's what that falls under. So they're able to collect a $50 assessment on nonprofits.
Also, currently, we do not charge veterans for a business license. Is that correct? And why are we going to charge them $50 for an assessment?
I think that's the same answer.
Okay. I thought a couple of years ago that we decided that we were never going to charge veterans. Yeah.
That was purely for the business license. I think it would be up to the bid board of directors and their membership to decide if they were not going to charge veterans.
Okay. That's all I have for right now.
Well, I was only a little bit curious too. As we look, I can see the ratcheting down of the rates, and that is probably a good thing. But when we got to the financial institutions, it's going from $400 to $100. So it is a much higher percentage of reduction than any of the others, and I wondered what the reasoning was behind that.
Yeah, I'd have the district board address that. You know, we took their recommendations on the rates, and they went through those rates a couple different meetings. And I do know that they voted on different sections of this code, and the whole board was unanimous on those votes as they went through each section, you know, of this. I believe, and I'll have the district address that in their minutes, when they were done, they did take it back and they did a vote, and it was, I think, a 5-2 vote on the whole package. Why that was, I don't know, they can address that. But they got buy-off on each individual section.
And I do have one more question. This was emailed to me by a member that is in the bid district. It's under section 5.100.040, item number D, that says that the advisory board shall file with the city clerk the assessment report on or before April 15th. And they said that was not done this year.
That is correct.
So we are going to proceed, though, even though they missed the deadline?
I would make that recommendation. I don't see a problem with that. You know, a lot of the reasoning behind that date is so we can get, you know, the assessment to the city council, do the protest hearing, and have that established before we do our business license come July 1. Gives us that adequate time to, you know, do that process. You know, we're still, if things move smoothly and we go, you know, forward with the assessment, we can make that happen this year.
Well, and the assessment report has always been a partnership between the advisory board and the city finance department. There were many years where the city finance department did not provide any information timely to the bid district.
They're getting information, if not
yeah,
weekly, monthly.
I think they've made tremendous strides.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
other questions of the council? Is there any public comment on this item? May come up now if you want to speak about it. Come on up. Please state your name and whether you're a city or county resident or in the bid district if you wish.
I'm Diana Tomasini, and I live in the county, and I have 4 businesses in the bid district. I'm going to read my thoughts on this. I have contacted quite a few merchants regarding bid. I feel that more than 80% do not want bid, and most, including myself, are not going to pay the fees if they vote to put them in. Bid is not working. No merchants attend the meetings, and most were surprised to see the issue come up again. The majority of the budget goes to running bid. That is sure government at its best. Bid has not come up with a project that helps the downtown merchants or encourage businesses to locate downtown. Some people, and I'm trying to rent out a building, are fearful of the negativity to their businesses if they disagree with bid. It is difficult enough to run a business in these lean economic times without coming up with more fees for the merchants to pay and a few people to determine how it's spent. A lot of the projects for this year, you know, Wi-Fi. I pay for Wi-Fi. My business is open to the public. The tree wells, I believe that's a city expense. I don't believe that's the bid expense. Kiosk planning, I think you need to get the people to turn off the highway to see what's here. Farmers market, I'm not for or against it, but why should my money go to advertise for it? And how does that help any businesses downtown? The tree lighting, it went on before bid even was in existence. The vast majority of downtown merchants would rather meet as a merchants group and determine how we want to spend our monies on events to help our businesses and to encourage new businesses to join us. We don't want to go to meetings, discuss bylaws, how we're violating the Brown Act. We want to get things done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? Yes, come on up.
My name is Ctiy. I live in the county. I have a business downtown. Over 70% of the people that are forced to pay for bid don't want bid. There have been 2 surveys done, one by some members of the bid, one by the city council a couple years ago. Over 70% of us don't want it. I mean, we would appreciate it if you would respect our wishes. You know, I realize I live in the county, so I don't get to vote on who sits on the city council. But, you know, I mean, it's the American way. 73%, I believe it was, 72, 73% said we don't want it. So if we could be done with this bid, if there wants to be a merchants association, let people volunteer their time, their money, their effort to do that, fine, that's great. But don't tie this on to my business license and make me pay just for something that I don't want to be involved in. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back up to the council for discussion if there's any. Is there any other comments?
Were you going to have anyone from BID address your question, Mr. Mayor?
Sure. Somebody want to bid? Come on up. Thank you. Welcome.
How are you guys? We have been working hard, hence a month delay. The last 2 years, we pulled back the assessments after the original protest. We did a lot of work. We spent a lot of time and made a lot of effort to get it to a new collaborated point that you see before you with all of the changes. Legal came back to us and had some more legal finalizations, but we did want to roll this out. 3 years ago, we were poised to make some great achievements, and we have not done that. So we went back, we spent the last 4 months looking at the ordinance line by line and trying to create an ordinance that works for our small downtown. We created that ordinance unanimously. The assessment report was created unanimously. Your specific questions on the nonprofit and the veterans, I think they fall under the voluntary. And if they want to be on our board, they pay that $50. So, for example, Joan Bueller is on our board, and she is a nonprofit with Lighthouse Repertory Theater, and she pays the $50. The Child Care Council pays because they believe in the good works of the BID, and we collaborate with them on a lot of events downtown. The farmers market pays for itself. It has created a lot of foot traffic downtown during the summer. It's interesting because I had several people from a restaurant downtown say that it's been good for their business, both people that are shopping that, the vendors that come over and buy lunch or coffee or whatnot. So I think that that is a good fit for us downtown, and we hope to continue to see it grow. I can't remember what your other question was.
I know I had one question,
Okay.
really, Kate, and that was the difference, the significant reduction in the financial
Institutions.
area as opposed to the other ones. It's a much higher.
And I think when it was first put into place, that was because they're all, you know, people come downtown for banks. Banks have the financial cash flow. But even in these economic times, we wanted everybody to have a fair playing field, and that's why such the reduction. And actually, the bigger retail, which at the time, we haven't had a bigger one than Grocery Outlet. But because of his employees, I think he paid the highest, so he was appreciative of that reductions.
So the reason this is actually being brought back before us is because it's required for them to provide us with an annual report.
Correct.
And then secondly, as part of your annual report, you're decreasing the fees for all of your members.
Mayor, maybe I can clarify something here, just so the council and the public don't get a little off track here. The ordinance before you today is just that. It's the ordinance to kind of reestablish some of those fees. The second item on the agenda, and adopting this ordinance does not say that you're adopting the annual plan or going out for the resolution of intent to levy those assessments. The second item on the agenda will address those issues. So adopting this ordinance is just that. You adopt this ordinance, you will put it in place. Whether or not you move forward with the annual report, levying assessment, this ordinance will still be in place and on the books, for years to come. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to levy those assessments or adopt that resolution of intent.
Go ahead.
Can I just say two last things?
Sure.
One of the great collaborations that we never foresee what it turned into was the tile mural wall, and that's fantastic. It's not an ugly wall anymore. We had looked before at taking it down, and then we were like, well, what could we do to it? And thank you again. again to Harley, but that was a great collaboration. And so that's just one small thing with no funding that we created. And then also in the last 3 years, you guys tasked those in opposition to come up with a plan, to come up with a plan B, to create some other organization, voluntary or not, to move forward and to take over some of the things and to make things happen downtown. And they haven't. They haven't ever come back to you with anything. They tried one event that actually the triplicate staff person ended up pulling off. So
But some of
asked
them
you.
have actually joined the board,
Yes,
and I'm hoping have been productive in
Yes.
helping with the discussions.
absolutely.
I just have one last question. Have you gone out yet, have we gone out, or bid gone out to check the pulse of the bid people to see if they wanted to come back?
We went out and actually took the assessment report door to door because not everybody checks our website and not everybody is on our email list, and handed those out. Some people we got to talk to, not everybody was available when we went through. I would say it's a new year, and there are just as many people for it, and nobody wants to pay a bill, but it's the cost of doing business, and I think that by collaborating, we can continue. A restaurant is trying to come downtown, and we're trying to work with the city to encourage that and to help roll out in every way. We have the opportunity right now for a large, incredible business to come into the Dailies building that we're working, to make that happen. So I feel like we're just back to square one and ready to move forward.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy Kate. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else, well, back to the council. Do you have a comment, Councilmember
I have a
Murray?
couple of comments. I believe that there are merchants on the bid board at this time, Billy Kate, for example. We have a variety of members on the board. And we did do, I believe we had Lanny, what was her name, Jean, that helped with the strategic plan?
Lonnie Lott, Ms.
Lonnie,
Lott
yeah.
came in from LL Consulting.
So there's a strategic plan in place, is that right?
The consultant came in, and it's actually I was going to get into a little bit of that with the next item, but what the consultant did a year and a half ago, I guess it's been now, came in and worked with the downtown district to function as a board, prepare a strategic plan, and focus on what direction they'd like to go. There's a lot of good work came out of that. I think these are a foundation of that. I think it'll grow to that point, and I guess the downtown district can address that a little bit more on what direction they want to go with that information that was provided to them and through those meetings.
Okay, so they have made progress, pretty concrete progress. I see Mr. Rutledge shaking his head no, and he's on the board, or he just resigned. Do you want to talk? Sorry.
You can come up, you can come up.
Welcome to retirement. Again.
Semi. My name is Sam Rutledge. I'm a resident of the county, but I have an office inside BID. In fact, right on the border of BID. The comments about the progress that's being made, that has been made over the last 2 or 3 years, I believe it's false. I don't see any progress. I sat on the board up to a couple of months ago, and when suggestions were made to look at the boundaries, to expand them, contract them, dissolve it, whatever, nothing was done. When we looked at the price, the fees that are going to be charged to the different members, up until just a month or two ago, the program that you saw was not in existence. It's something that just came up after I resigned.
Which program?
The pricing, the $100 for everybody, $50 for the...
Right. It's a revised assessment report,
Right.
yeah.
But I mean, in the last 2 or 3 years, that subject didn't get any kind of discussion to speak of. It was just a last-minute thing so they could get the report to the city council. I hear comments about the progress that's being made. There is no progress on the bid board. There is no movement to try to include all of the bid members. I'm on 5th Street, and not one single attempt has been done for anybody in that region. There's a lot of businesses across the street, but that's outside the bid boundaries. No effort was made to try to pick up additional businesses. What I'm trying to say is that the comments earlier about the surveys that were taken, and I believe there were 3, and I believe all 3 showed the preponderance of not wanting to be in bid. I think that's the key to what you should be trying to decide. Bid has been established now for 20 years. It's sat fallow for 15 or so, and it's been struggling for the last 4 or 5. I don't think it's worth saving. I think you should just kill it, dissolve it, unincorporate it, whatever the term would be, to get rid of the thing. I can assure you that if you do pass the reestablishment of charging bid membership, the hullabaloo that hit here a couple of years ago is going to hit again. I know of at least a dozen that are not happy about it, and I think you're going to hear from them. But they don't want to come down and comment on this. They don't want to attend the bid meetings, but they don't want to pay the fee either. And I think that's what you have to think about.
It would certainly be nice to hear from them, because I hear a lot of positive things about bid. So, you know, I listen to anybody that wants to talk to me, but I hear a lot of positive comments about it as well. So if they would, you know, if they want to, you know, tell us that they don't like it, you know, have them call me, or the mayor, or whoever, so.
I've already heard from people. I haven't found one that wants it. But they can call me.
Yeah, see, like I said, those surveys really give the pulse of it. They may not be scientifically organized and administered, but one of them was done by your own staff.
Yes.
And it produced a massive result where, in fact, 2 of the board members that were elected were part of the uproar. And one of the mainstays was not put back on the board only after a retirement from the board was she reappointed. So that's what I mean. I don't think the bid board is effective, and it should be dissolved. Get rid of it.
Thank you, Mr. Rutledge.
Mayor, may I speak
Sure.
to the council on the process
Sure.
with this, and it's kind of spanning both items on the agenda. And the ordinance before you is, as I stated earlier, if you adopt the ordinance, it makes changes within our municipal code, and it'll be part of the municipal code whether or not there is a downtown district ordinance or downtown district in place or not in the future. The second item on the agenda is what we call a resolution of intent. And annually, a business district, you know, the way it is formed by the Business and Improvement Code of 1989, I believe, establishes that they need to come to the city council on an annual basis and give an annual report. What have they done in the past? What do they want to do in the future? What do they anticipate the assessments would collect, or that they would see based on the assessments? And then if, you know, the council can take modifications and change that annual report, add to it, delete from it. If that resolution of intent is then adopted, then it gets noticed, and, you know, a public notice is sent to each business in the district, and at that point they have an opportunity to protest the assessment, and it's kind of a self-assessment. So, you know, the law basically sets up that process. If 2 years ago, a year ago, there were 75 people that didn't like the district, and the council chose not to, you know, move forward, or they, you know, we took a hiatus and didn't, you know, assess a fee. At this point, you can go go through the process, and this process allows that opportunity for those businesses to step up and say, no, we don't want this again. It's today. What is their feelings for, about, doing the self-assessment for today, not what has gone on in the past. So that's where we're at in this process. Now, the council on both of these items can do one of two things. You can say no to this ordinance, we want to leave it the way it is, or or adopt the changes. On the second item, you can say no, we're done, we don't want to move forward with the downtown district, we don't need to adopt this resolution, or okay, let's see if we if they're the businesses wanted to file a protest against this assessment, and we'll adopt this resolution and kind of carry that forward. So there's different ways for the council to go tonight on both of these items. I don't know if Mr. Black wants to add to any of that.
I think you summarized it very well. There will be a protest proceeding, and that's where I think the feelings will be brought forward as to the future of the district.
I just am concerned, I was actually pleased to see that the board worked together to revise this ordinance and then lowered all of the assessments to an amount that's very reasonable for an annual fee, and compared to what they've been in the past anyway. I mean, some of them were a little spendy. And my biggest concern is, I have two concerns. My biggest concern has always been the infighting, downtown, because, I want our downtown to be positive and beautiful and productive and, support business and commerce and, provide jobs. And that's the whole intent that BID, I think, was based on. My second concern is that, we've had a board that's, we have people that have just joined the board that don't support the mission of BID, which is interesting to me. But I'm concerned that if BID goes away in its entirety, that the great things they do downtown that do support Tomasini's and Billy Kay's shop and, all of the little retail places down there like the farmer's market. I've seen a lot of foot traffic increase since the farmer's market began. The Christmas tree lighting and the parade is the biggest thing that happens down there, and the businesses that are open are busy. And so I want that to continue, and I hate to see that go away. So I don't know what that solution might be if BID goes away and there's no funding and no group of people that have worked their butts off to make it happen. So those are my concerns.
Cheryl, did you want to come up and speak? Cheryl Korpstein's a board member on BID.
I just wanted to take a minute to clarify a few things. We weren't expecting to answer a lot of questions. The reason financials were lowered is about 3 years ago when the city went through and cleaned up their codes, they reclassified some businesses as financial that had never been financial before, such as Jamie O'Brien at North Coast Mortgage. She went from paying $150 a year to $400 a year. That's a huge increase. And so in lowering financial, we're taking that burden off of small insurance agents and those people. Certainly, I would guess that a large bank might be able to afford it, but because they're all lumped in together, we needed to make sure that was classified. The same with the one vote per person per assessment. The original ordinance actually says that your votes are based on the assessment you pay. So currently, Edward Jones pays $400. It means Mike's and my vote outweighs for hairdressers. And that's not really a fair way to do business. So the board, again, took that option out so that each person who pays an assessment gets one vote. If you have two businesses in the same location, you only have to pay the higher of the two assessments. And then, so of course, you only have one vote with that as well. But we're trying to make this an even thing. We're trying to help everybody out. And there's one more thing, and I've forgotten it. But the other thing is, as they've stated to you, and we kind of fell off a couple years ago, if we don't approve at least the ordinance part tonight, every time this comes up, we have to look at charging those folks $400 again, or a retailer who wants to have more than 5 employees may have to pay $497. And we really want to make sure that that's not going to happen, or that part-time booth renters aren't going to have to pay $100. We want to get those things set into the ordinance so that whatever you decide regarding the assessments, those bases are covered and those people are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
I wasn't through with my comments.
Sure,
We got
go
a
ahead.
little bit sidetracked. The other thing is, people bring up this notion of a merchants group. I haven't seen anyone organizing one, and as I stated a couple of years ago, I did my research on merchants groups, and the one we have closest to us is in Brookings, and it's flailing. In fact, it might not even be in existence anymore. It was all volunteer and nobody did anything, and so having a merchants group sounds like a good idea, but no one ever in our community has ever tried to launch one, and I know that they're not very successful other places. And my other comment is, and this is just to change our ordinance, I understand that, but to get to the heart of it, $100 assessment a year for a business is less than $9 a month. And so I don't know if in your heart you think that that's way too much money, but I kind of am surprised, because I think that you do get value added with the bid. So those are my opinions.
Do you have any other comments, Mr. Hall?
I'd like to say that I have, even when I first got on the city council, I was approached and I actually had the survey results, and I read those each page at a time, and I looked at the results, and it was alarming to me. I remembered it being 73 or 75% of the bid members were not interested in continuing bid. I then, during the campaign, I went down and tried to utilize businesses during the campaign, and the first thing that those merchants asked was what was my position on bid, because they were unhappy with participating on bid. I'm concerned about how the city staff spends in excess of 10% administrative fees on district-related businesses each year. In other words, to administer bid, it sounds like kind of an expensive, if you look at it as a percentage, it's kind of an expensive process, especially if business owners are reluctant to pay the fee, and then there's going to be assessments and penalties, and there'll be hearings, I imagine, and I just don't want to get the city wound up in any kind of a quagmire of administrative activities that are going to actually cost the city more than we're gaining in the bid process. So I have some concerns. I think in large part people want less government and not more. I am wondering about the process of having these two items. It almost feels like they should be switched, because we're gonna pass an ordinance, and then there's a possibility the bid will no longer exist with the next item, and then we go back and then take the ordinance off. It just seems kind of backwards to me.
The ordinance will stay on the books in the municipal code. You know, the ordinance won't go away unless you want to make an action of deleting it completely. But it can sit there, and at some point in time, 5-10 years from now, if the downtown, decides that, hey, we would like, to establish a business improvement district, the tool's there.
I would like.
It's like taking, we don't need this hammer anymore, let's get rid of it. It's out of the toolbox. And the tool, stays on the books. If you ever want to use it, you may sit there for years and never use it, then one day it may be used.
Well, I guess summarily, I'm saying that this is a real hot button for a lot of people downtown, and I'd like them to have the opportunity to come and talk to us. I know I'm a little disappointed that we don't have the kind of representation that I thought there would be here to give us a more balanced view, but I would like to have that opportunity. Now, when you talk about a protest vote, are you talking about enacting both these and then they come in and do a protest, or do we hear these again? Process-wise, are we passing or not passing these, or can we defer, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, both of these require, two readings. The ordinance, it's an ordinance, so it's an introduction,
Okay.
And then a second reading at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, I wanted to make sure.
And then the resolution of intent is passed tonight, but the resolution of intent says, hey, we intend we have the intent to assess the businesses, which authorizes the city to send out notices to each of those businesses, and then the businesses have the opportunity to come in and protest if they
And that would
want.
happen at the next meeting?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that was a step that didn't get missed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? Come on up. We usually don't allow it, but this is a bid. Most people here are for bid, so please state your name and if you're...
My name is Dee Ward, and I am on the bid board.
Oh, bid board. I'm sorry, Dee.
Yes.
Okay.
I am also a hairdresser at Wendy's downtown. Now, when I first came to the first meeting when I first moved here about bid, I sat back and I listened to everything that the people were saying, and there was a lot of people here that were talking about it, and not too many people paid attention up there, and not too many people listened. I don't think it's the amount of money that we're setting aside right now, because $50 is not going to make me or break me a year. It's the fact that we want to see the money represented by the people, to the people, from 5th Street to Front Street. Now, I'm on 4th Street, and so far, everything that's been talked about and everything that's been said has been on 3rd Street. So we have to find a structure that's going to help not only 3rd Street, because there's other people that need the help too. And so you've got to find the structure to help all the businesses, not just assess 3rd Street. If it's only 3rd Street that people are concerned about, then that's where bid should be, is on 3rd Street and no other street. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Castro, do you have any comments?
Yes. I have been on the bid board. I was on for 2 years. There's been lots of discussion about, is bid beneficial to downtown? And I have to agree that it is. Bid is the advocate for all businesses downtown and to improve the whole downtown area to make it better for all shoppers, for all shops. Some people I know that were on the board that they didn't see a lot of things happening real quick, but that's government. Government's slow, especially when you bring in a lot of varied people into the same room trying to discuss, to bring things in. We've discussed many times to have events on 5th Street or the other streets. They never happen. We can't just do it. We have to have businesses cooperate. Bid is all about cooperation and joining in and helping out. Now, bid is a very good thing for this city, and I think we should continue it. Passing this ordinance helps level the field on the assessments for all the businesses down there. And then, when we do our intent, then we'll get a good reading from the public as they come back and tell us what they want. I think bid's a good thing, and I'm going to vote for this.
Mr. Long, do you have any more comments? My comments, and I have a few of them on this matter. It goes back to 1992, bid was formed. Just a quick reminder. City Council then, it was just like now. A lot of people were opposed, some people were for. Council passed it, but didn't enforce it. Like Mr. Rutledge said, it sat dormant for 15 years. In fact, some people paid it because they thought they had to pay their assessment, others didn't.
It sat dormant for 15 years?
They did without, or not making them pay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So, now we're 2 years ago. We had the same discussion 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 73% of the merchants didn't want it. I see nothing that changes it today. For me, 2 years ago, I moved to disband it. I didn't get a second at the time. I'm going to vote no on both of them because why have an ordinance if we shouldn't even have it? This is one thing in government where the people don't want it, and as a council, we're in a position to say, fine. It's not very often that a city council can say, if you don't want to pay for this, you don't have to. And if merchants want to form their own group, that's up to them. If they don't, it's up to them. I'm still going to shop downtown. I'm still going to do it. It's just a matter of what they want to do with their money, whether it's $400 a year or $50 a year. If you don't believe in something and you have a chance not to pay it, then you should have that chance not to pay it. And they spoke 2 years ago at 73%. I heard that loud and clear. I'm for a business district. Town I came from had one. They never took a vote whether to pay it or not pay it. They just paid it. Here, the people don't want it. The vast majority don't. And so those are my comments on them, that I haven't seen anything that's changed in the 2 years. So with
Well,
that, go ahead.
based on what you just said.
Sure.
I've been involved with BID for the last 12 years. I helped create half of the events that still run down there with the board of directors, which was always about 3 to 4 people. Diana Tomasini worked very hard. Sherry Weir worked very hard with the group. You know, Billy Kay and Cheryl, I think, have been there forever. But even before Billy, actually, is when I was working with that group. And the group used to work super hard to put on the events downtown without cooperation from the city. And, you know, when I got on the council, it was one of my goals was like, oh my gosh, we have this great group of business people downtown. We put on these great events, and, you know, it's, you know, we have families coming downtown, and, you know, Diana's paying for balloons out of her pocket, and I mean, it was just, you know, the city's not providing us with information, and it was my goal to change that from the city's perception, to make the city be accountable to this business district that had been functioning for the past 20 years. I've talked to Donna Zorn, you know, who used to be Snipes, who actually helped start the BID district years ago. I've known the history. I've worked with people downtown side by side to try to make it a productive, you know, just to try to help them. I hate to see it go away. I think that a lot of the negativity has been personality driven, and some of it was a hardship with money. And I think that the fact that we've taken, you know, a big burden of that hardship away is a really good thing. I would love to see everybody working together to create more downtown. The reason we probably don't have more is because you have a very small group that are working to make it happen, and they're doing it on their own time, and they're running businesses as well. I wish the city could pay for it all ourselves and not assess the businesses. But I do believe that every business that pays $50 or $100 probably sees a lot more than that in return, even just from, you know, 1 or 2 of the events. I today recommended somebody to go do business with custom graphics. You know, it's because I know who's downtown because I'm so familiar with the BID district. I just wish that it could be a productive, positive discussion to move our little downtown forward. And I know that it doesn't benefit everybody. I know there's service businesses that, you know, don't see as much benefit as a retail business, but I do believe that everybody receives some benefit.
Thank you. Any other council comments? What's the pleasure of the council? This is item number 8.
I move that we consider and waive full reading, read by title only, and introduce ordinance number 775, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Crescent City, amending Chapter 5.100 of the Crescent City Municipal Code relating to assessment, amounts, billing, and collection, payment plans, and penalties.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Gastineau?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holly?
No?
And Mayor Inia.
No. Measure passes 3 to 2. Go on to, this is item number 9. Item number 9 is consider and approve a resolution entitled Resolution 2013-14A. This is a resolution of the City Council of Crescent City declaring its intention to levy and collect assessments within the Business Improvement District for the fiscal year 2013-2014. Mr. Palazzo, did you have any comments?
Mayor, members of the council, I think we've hit quite a bit of discussion on this. What I'd like to just add to this is need to take public comment, and at this point the council can approve, modify the assessment report that's been filed by the advisory board. In adopting the resolution, basically the assessment report is attached to that resolution of intent. The resolution, to answer Mr. Hawley's question, number 6 on page 2 of that resolution, will bring this back to a public hearing at the June 3rd, 2013 City Council meeting. If this is adopted this evening, then the notices will be mailed to the businesses, and they'll have an opportunity to comment on the assessment report.
So this is to lower the assessment?
This, basically that was the ordinance that was just
okay.
adopted. The assessment report is at the back of the resolution, and it goes through the annual
The actual budget
their budget.
presented, okay, sorry.
District boundaries, no change. Benefit zone boundaries, no change. The assessments, the additional categories, the new improvements that the district are proposing, promotions and activities that the district is proposing, and what dollar amount that they see where the assessments would go. And so based on the number of businesses and the collection amount, they have come up with the total assessment of about $12,000, I believe. If that is collected and received, then this is where the money, would be spent.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd have, the district board, address those items for the council in a little bit more detail.
Well, they also have some additional $2,000 to $4,000 of in-kind from Pacific Power for the downtown tree planting. And have you guys worked with them on a plan yet? Okay.
All right. Council members have any comments before I open up for public comment?
I would just like to say, based on Ms. Ward's comments, I would like to challenge the board to come up with some ideas on creating, it doesn't have to be an event per se, but something that would support the service businesses and the business in the outer parts of the boundary that aren't just on 3rd Street. Whether it's Crescent City service days or something, I don't know, something to support those other businesses and get them involved.
Okay.
I'd just like to say it, maybe it's a continuation of the prior discussion, but we've all heard complaints from new business owners about how much it costs to start a business in Crescent City. We hear this over and over again, and that we need to process things more quickly, and we need to keep the costs down as much as we can to invite new business. And I know this isn't a lot of money, but it's kind of just one more thing, and I think that it would maybe be a better business climate without this additional fee.
Mr. Plum?
Well, to answer that, each business that comes down in the bid has the full support of the bid board and the organization as an advocate. They can deal with the city and help them, get their business up and running. They can help them establish networking with other businesses in the district. There has been lots of cooperation between businesses in the district. It's a real positive thing. You have to look at it on the other side, that it's sort of like a membership to a club where you have a lot of benefits, and they're working a lot better to get the word out on those. They're starting up, is it a monthly or quarterly newsletter? They have email. They're working on lots of stuff like that.
Okay. But as a membership, though, you're entitled to leave membership if you want. My comment is, the city, this is interesting because this is the first time for this. The city will not issue or renew a business license unless the bid assessment is paid, which means if someone feels so strongly that they don't want to pay the assessment, they're not going to get a business license. They're not going to be insured properly because insurance companies want to make sure that you're all licensed. That may force businesses to leave our downtown bid area over an assessment, because this is the first time that we're going to enforce it. Not only enforce it, but it also says is subject to administrative citation. So
it's actually not the first time, Mr. Mayor.
Have we ever
This has been
enforced it
on the
before?
books for a year?
I said enforced. Have we ever enforced it? And I don't know that it's been on the books. Has it been on the books?
Well, I think it was 2 years ago that the city linked the bid assessment to the business license for the first time, and that's what made it less than voluntary. Let's
Right.
put it that way.
And we suspended it for the 2 years.
Right,
So this-
but there was a period of time when that was being pushed rather heavily, and I think the vast majority of people did comply. Those few that did not comply, did the city go after them aggressively? The answer is no.
The answer is no.
Right.
On this one, it says that they will not get a business license renewed,
Well,
and they'll be subject to an administrative citation. It does say it in there.
but that was on the previous resolution. That's not new to the resolution is my only point.
Okay.
And actually, any violation of the municipal code is subject to technically is subject to an administrative citation.
That's correct. And I'm only saying that this has been suspended for 2 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Public comment. Does anyone wish to speak on this? This is the intent to levy the assessment, and there'll be another hearing, there'll be a public hearing in 2 weeks at the council, but you're free to speak tonight if you'd like to. Anybody want to speak about it? Okay. Come on up.
For one, I won't pay it. I've talked to a lot of the people, they're not gonna pay it. So you guys gotta do what you gotta do. You're gonna come down, drag us out of our shop, shut us down, do what you gotta do. But when this came up last time, we had the sitting mayor organized a boycott of the people like me downtown that didn't want to go along with his program. It came from here. So when you guys sit up here and say, oh, the well has been poisoned. Oh yeah, you're right, it has been poisoned. It has been poisoned because you guys went after us directly. Some of you sitting up here right now went after my business directly. I'm pissed. I take that personally. That business I support my family with. I keep a roof over my children's heads. I feed them, and you're going to screw with me over $100? Come get it. You know, I'm not going to pay you. There's a lot of other people down there that aren't going to pay you. And the reason why people aren't coming in here is because they voiced their opinion to you 2, 3 times in surveys, and you told us to go screw ourselves. That's what you did. And then you wonder why people don't come down here and say, well, gee, are they going to tell us to go screw ourselves again? Because that's what you're doing. When we voiced our opinion time and time again, you say, nah, I know better than you. And you do what you're going to do. Do any of you own a business? Do you own a business? You run your mouth an awful lot. You blame it on Walmart. I remember a couple of years ago, oh yeah, we brought it up and you were, oh, their problem is with Walmart. I'm not sure where you're coming from with some of the stuff that comes out of your mouth. You don't own a business, you're not downtown, and then you want to sit here and tell me what kind of money is generated by a parade? Were you in my shop that day? Did you see my receipts? No, you didn't. You're talking out your neck. You don't know what you're talking about. None of you own a business. Why don't you come down here, talk to the business owners that are there, see what they have to say, and respect their wishes. That's all they're asking. And if you would do that, you would have more respect from the business owners that are down there, and you might have more people that would come to your meetings when they realize that their opinion and their voice is being heard. That's that. I'm going home and eating dinner because I can see where this is going.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing no other public comment, then I'll bring it back to our board. Is there any comments from the additional comments from the council?
I'm not clear where the movement from whatever mayor was sitting here.
It wasn't me.
I believe that that's inaccurate and an unfortunate misrepresentation. I may have said something about Walmart taking business from our downtown businesses. I do not shop at Walmart, for the record. I shop downtown and in the city limits, and I spend more money doing that, but I really believe in our small businesses. So
the reference to the mayor wasn't you.
Oh, I know. I don't think any of us did. Any mayors did it. I think that that's an inaccurate and unfortunate misunderstanding that the gentleman that just left had about the council. So
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that up because
Okay.
I don't think any mayor has ever been that derogatory towards any of our businesses. in our community.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Hall?
No, thank you.
Mr. Costello? Mrs. Long? And I don't have anything, so I'll entertain a motion to consider and approve a resolution for the intent to levy and collect assessments.
Would this council consider withdrawing the levy from the business license?
I would.
I don't remember that. I'm sorry, if you could please refresh my memory as to why we did it. Ken, is there, I can't remember.
This is going back probably 4 years ago. What had happened with the business license, they were sent out every January. They went on the calendar year basis, and the bid assessments were done in 2 6-month periods. They did one in July and one in January. And so I think it was 3 years ago we had put everything in place to send them out at the same time, so they would be once a year, and that's where that started going at that point in time. And
Right. I remember the timing issue. I just don't remember why we, Billy, can you help me out? I think she.
Actually, we had come to you and asked City Council to either make bid go away or to make it happen. At that time, you guys brought in Bob and Martha. You did all the research, all the investment in time, put it all together, and the attaching it to the business license was the teeth. It rolled out really awful, obviously, and in your packet tonight is specifically, and I think he called it out in Exhibit A, we as bid did a lot of, obviously, lowering the fees and whatnot, but also asked for payment plans so that those businesses where it would be cumbersome, that they could work with us to get a payment plan. Their business license would not be held up in any way. And as long as that, you know, they worked with us in the city to make that happen, there would be no late fees. I think that that's just a legal ease that's sort of out of our control. I think that's part of the city to get the fees on that. I think that's how you go forward with business licenses. So, and also back to the percentage. The original survey that was taken was biased and not a fair assessment of those people against or for bid. The city did one, and I don't recall the numbers exactly, but it was still not. And the third one, the triplicate did. There were people that stood up here and said that they voted more than once. So it wasn't, I mean, it's hard to weigh all of that. I know everybody has an opinion, and there has been a lot of negativity, and that's what we've tried to do. We've brought in other people that, you know, raised a lot of questions. They're on our board now. We're working hard to do just that, to do what Dee said, is to collaborate with the entire district. And it's a trickle-down effect. Your business may not feel it today, but when the economy is working together, you're sending people to other businesses. Oh, you're going out of town, you want a Disneyland trip? Oh yeah, you should call Donut Travel. You need your taxes done? We have 3, maybe 4 tax professionals within our district. You know, it's that type of thing. And it's good business. And we're the heart of the community. You know, the Christmas parade, people poo-poo it all the time and talk about that's all bid does. Well, no, it's not all we do, but it is a mainstay of our events, and it is a good thing. It's the heart of our community. It's why people live here. It's something that we give back. So I hope you take that into consideration.
Thanks.
Do you have anything?
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
In order to decouple the bid assessment from the business license, I think you'd have to go back and reconsider the ordinance that you introduced tonight and delete the last sentence on page 5. There are 2 different linkages between business license and the bid assessment. One is a linkage which says that those who need a business license will pay the bid assessment or will be charged the bid assessment. And then there's a sentence that links it together in a binding sense where it says the city will not renew a business license if the bid assessment is not paid. And I think it's possible to just delete the second linkage, leave the first in place.
Okay, so can I deal with the current issue and then we can go back? And what is the process? Do we need to reintroduce that ordinance if we remove those two pieces, or can we amend it this evening?
You have to call for a reconsideration.
You have to reconsider it first. And that means that you then go on to reintroduce it. So you'd reconsider the first introduction, essentially taking that back, then make the change you want to make and reintroduce it with that change.
Tonight?
You can do it tonight, yeah.
Okay. And do I need to do it after we're finished with the current item that we are
After you're finished with
addressing?
the resolution?
Mm-hmm. Or should we go back and do it now?
I would say you can do it after,
Okay.
unless that's going to hang up somebody's vote on the resolution.
Okay. I'm going to go back to item number
8.
8, please, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, does that matter of who introduces that, or does it have to be the 3 members that voted for it?
It has to be one of the 3 members has to make the motion to reconsider.
Okay. So, you know, I think there are people, I'm just going to talk through my thought process here. I think there are people that will probably never want to be a part of bid. I think there are people that were negative about bid that have taken the time to educate themselves and be a part of the process, that I think maybe at least understand the process better. I think there are some businesses that get quite a bit out of bid, and some businesses that maybe not so much. I agree with what Billy says when she talks about businesses making referrals to other businesses, because I've seen it happen. I talk about our downtown businesses all the time, no matter who they are. I think bid's either going to be successful or it's not. And if you have people that are, you know, threatening and being threatening, whether it's towards the council or towards staff or towards other business members, it's just not productive. And, you know, I don't want to see businesses leave our district. So I think that if we take the threat of the fee away from the business license process, that we can at least remove that piece of negativity. I will reiterate that I love our downtown. I want you guys to work together and be productive and positive. I know sometimes, you know, you have to really look through the trees and see the big picture to make that happen, especially when there's a lot of bad blood. But, you know, we live here because we love to live here. We're not a metropolis. We don't have, you know, a lot of income coming into our downtown area. But if you can work together and refer each other, you know, I know I shop downtown all the time. I know a lot of people do. And, you know, the downtown businesses appreciate that, you know, when we spend our money locally. So I just wanted to say, you know, that I do believe it can still be a positive thing. And you know, whether you're for or against it, no matter what, whether it was today or yesterday or 3 years ago, the people that I've worked with over the past 13 years down there, I really appreciate them. And I really appreciate everybody today that supports our downtown businesses. So getting back to the issue at hand, I would like to remove the 2 pieces of information that will remove the assessment from the business license on item number 8. So I would like to have us reconsider that, withdraw the previous motion, and reconsider item number 8 with those changes.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to reconsider those 2 items. Is there any discussion? And I'd like to ask something.
Let me clarify. You're not reconsidering 2 items. You're reconsidering the whole introduction of the
Yes,
ordinance.
I'm reconsidering the full introduction, but I'm referencing the 2 pieces of information that you referenced that tied the 2 together.
You can't do that. You just have to reconsider the introduction. and then you can tweak the wording and massage it and make it the way you want it. and
Okay,
then
so I would like
introduce
to
it.
withdraw our previous motion on item number 8. Do I have to have a motion?
What you want to do is reconsider the previous action on item number 8.
What he just said.
Is there
I
a
can't
sec-
seem to get it right.
Is there a second?
There's a second for me.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the clerk poll the vote?
Yes.
Oh, public comment. Come on up for public comment. Thank you.
So I have to tell the council, my frustration level is here. I have been before various assortment of this council since Irene Tynes was on the council, asking you to either make us legitimate or put the tool away in the toolbox for a while. There's a lot of time and energy that is spent on this. While I appreciate that there's a lot of frustration and some of it's the way it rolled out and some of it is the way it happened in '93, none of that really matters anymore. If you take the teeth out of this, how will you enforce the collection? And that's not my job. I'm not going door to door to get $50 from somebody. That is a job. People have to pay their assessment or not. If they don't, we're right back where we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 19 years ago. That is not fair. That is not equitable to everybody. Some pay, some don't, some benefit. They benefit by not paying. This council needs to make a decision, and it's a hard decision for you to make. I understand that. And it's a hard decision to look at an economic future and think that you might scare businesses off. But the truth is, if you rent out on North Crest in the complex where KCRE is, you pay a monthly fee to be part of the, to have your business located there. And that fee goes for things like painting and flowers. If you rent in Abiana Plaza, you pay a fee to have your lights changed and things like that. It is a normal cost of doing business. I understand that there are those who moved into the district that didn't know there was a fee. BID has probably not done a great job in the past of making sure people were aware. The city has not necessarily done a great job when you got your business license. Landlords have not notified their tenants that they were going to have an assessment. Salon owners have not notified their tenants that they were going to have an assessment. All of that being said, it's a cost of doing business. And if you take the wording out, you take the teeth out, you put us back where we were, and then we're not legitimate anymore. So I really would ask this council to make a hard decision, one way or the other. Don't waffle
I am
anymore.
making a hard decision, Cheryl.
I know you are. I'm just saying, we can't waffle anymore.
More than anybody that sits up here.
We can't waffle anymore. We either need a bid or put the tool away. That's okay. You guys can make any decision you want. I just need to know if I'm off the hook after tonight. So, you know, we just need a decision.
If you want to be off the hook, then you are.
I don't want to be off the hook. I'm just trying to say it's very difficult to be proactive and go forward when there are no teeth, and you know that there's... The other part of that is, although you're hearing protests, there are 115 businesses downtown, and you've only got 4 or 5 in the room protesting. And you may have more than that next week, but we will never legitimately know if we don't get to that next step and let those people follow the process as is legal. The state law says this is not voluntary. We cannot have a voluntary bid. It has to be everybody pays it or nobody pays it. And I'm sure that Mr. Black can support me on that. That's the way that the state law reads. So I would just ask you to think about this before we just keep discussing this year after year after year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other
I
public
think
comment?
Cheryl's right about that, but I want to just say that by unlinking it from the business license, you're not making it voluntary. The ordinance will still read that it's a mandatory assessment. It's just that you're choosing not to take a drastic approach.
Yeah,
to-
it's still
to
a mandatory
enforcement.
fee. I'm just choosing not to make it impact whether or not a business is able to continue to do business.
So if it's a mandatory fee and and we pass this and we uncouple it, and it's a mandatory fee and they don't pay it, then we go administrative citation and take them to court?
That's a decision that you have to make, whether you want to do the administrative citation. I was going to raise with you 4 different topics of discussion as to how you want to approach enforcement, but only after you decide to reconsider. Unless you decide to reconsider, it's not pertinent. So you could delete the section that says you'll get an administrative citation. You could delete the section that says if a payment plan is not followed, the business license holder will be responsible for late fees and penalties. You could delete other provisions about penalties. And so it's still a mandatory fee, but it begins to feel a bit more like voluntary because you've removed the teeth.
And I would add, as staff, then where does that leave us in collecting that fee? You know, if the council and the district's expectation is staff has to go out and be the enforcer to collect this fee, there is no teeth. You know, the best way to do is tie it to a business license and go through the administrative site process.
Well, I would say that there are a lot of people that support bid. There are a lot of business people that think it's a good thing and that that are going to be thankful to pay $100 instead of $400, and that will continue to pay. I remember, sitting down there with the business people when it was not mandatory. It wasn't even billed by the city, and we still collected $5,000 or $6,000 to.
And maybe I can rephrase that a little bit. If people are not collecting, and the downtown district comes to my door and says, "Hey, city, you need to collect this fee," I need to come back to the council and say, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, how would you like me to proceed? I need to have clear direction on how to proceed if this is going to be a requirement of city staff to go and collect this fee. And
well, I would
how much
say it's
time and
probably your
energy.
responsibility to give us some options to choose from.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to give you that direction tonight.
So,
You know what, can we just table this? And
We could bring it back for reconsideration at our next meeting with options on.
I don't think anybody here is, you're posing questions to me that I can't answer. I'm posing questions to you that you can't answer. I don't know.
So
I was ready to reconsider it and take it away from the business license fee, so.
But we could reconsider it at our next meeting with some options and input from BID and our city staff.
Well, I don't think the options and input from BID are going to change. We know how everybody in this room feels.
Well, I'm just saying that if we could do it that way and not reconsider this until next meeting and have time to mull over some better ideas on how to move forward with this.
so are we asking then to vote now to rescind the ordinance 774 and table it till next meeting, and then not even take up 775? Take them both up at the next meeting?
I don't know. How does the other council members feel about it? I'd like to hear from everybody else instead of just me talking.
I think if you take the teeth out of it, it's going to be back to where they were, where they can't plan a budget, they can't do any planning for the whole year. They've been crippled again, like they've always have been in the past. And that's why BID does not grow, is because they don't get the assessments to help them out, to plan events, to plan improvements. They can't do anything. If you had a business and you had a budget that you go to, of course, businesses have to rely on sales, I understand that. But if you can't plan for your future and you're thinking growth is coming your way, you can't plan for that. And they have no options to plan if they cannot collect their assessments.
That's why I think we just keep our decision that we already made and approved 3-2, which ordinance is it, 774?
774.
Because we can call for reconsideration at our next meeting, and it'll give us time individually to consider the ramifications of how we move forward should we do the reconsideration and take the mandate for tied to the business license. And we can do that, right, Bob? We can
You can do
call
what?
for a reconsideration if we so choose at our next meeting.
On the ordinance we
You
just passed.
can, but remember, what you did tonight was to introduce an ordinance. So if
Right.
you don't, if you bring it back next time, it'll be for adoption. If you reconsider it at that time, you'll be set back and you'll have to do the introduction again.
I understand that. I'm just saying that that's something that we could.
Absolutely. It's absolutely possible for you to do that.
Could changes be made next time in the final adoption? No?
No,
could call for
generally speaking,
reconsideration.
the way that it's introduced is the way that it must be adopted, except for minor or clerical changes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Substance,
No.
the public has a right to know what you're intending to adopt. That's why you have the introduction thing.
Mr. Charles, do you have any comments?
Well, it just seems to me that the people look to us as council members as providing leadership, and I don't know which way this will go ultimately, but I think we either need to support bid or not, and look, we need to get on with life downtown. So, as far as tonight's actions, I don't know that it would make it. I appreciate Ms. Shalong's interest in finding an intermediate step, but I think the time for intermediate steps is probably past. I think either we need to give bid the opportunity to progress and to grow, or we need to step back from it. So that's with that in mind, and instead of dragging this on year after year, and I wasn't on the council, but I watched it, and I wasn't looking forward to this meeting tonight. But I think the expectation is that we provide a clear message of some kind.
And I agree to that. I agree with that. It needs to be a clear message, and just because only a few people come tonight, they expected us to do our job in leadership, because this was suspended for 2 years. They didn't even know it was coming on tonight. They'll read about it in the paper now and be here next time. But, so your motion is still on the floor, and it's been seconded.
I'm rescinding my second.
Okay. Is there another second? Okay, seeing none, then that motion fails. So we will go back to item number 9. Item number 9 is ordinance 775, which is Ryan is the resolution, I'm sorry. And that's to declare the intent to level and collect assessments within the downtown business improvement district. And that's a resolution. And this is the first hearing of this, and it comes back next time. If we pass it tonight, it comes back as a public hearing, correct?
Yes, this resolution establishes the public hearing, and it takes effect immediately when it's adopted.
Okay.
But it's just declaring your intent to levy the assessment. It is not the assessment itself.
All right, with that, we've had public comment on this resolution. Is there any other public comment? Okay, I'll bring it back at the table for the council's pleasure.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2013. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Crescent City declaring its intention to level and collect assessments within Business Improvement District for fiscal year 2013-14.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for resolution number 2013-14. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Yes, sir.
I'll pull the roll.
Councilmember Gastineau?
Yes.
Councilmember Shalong?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holly?
No?
And Mayor Inia?
No. The motion passes 3-2, and that's item number 9. So that will come back at the next council meeting as a form of a public hearing. All right.
I'd still like to state that my challenge to the board to come up with some more creative attention and or events or recognition of the entire boundary still stands.
Okay. Under city council items, we'll go to legislative matters, and consider miscellaneous legislative matters pertinent to the city of Crescent City, and authorize the mayor to sign the appropriate letters and positions. Are there any legislative matters before us?
Myself and 3 council members attended the league conference, Redwood Empire Division, on Friday, and there's a series of bills and legislation that they voted on, and I can have Councilmember Murray or one of the other council members kind of address that. Actually, Councilmember Murray and Mr. Nia were there, or Mayor Nia was there. So, I can go through that or have the council address that on what happened.
Did you want to speak to that, Kathy?
We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 either Assembly or Senate bills that the Legislative Committee voted on. And if you want the details on how the vote went or how I voted, I'd be happy to speak with you. And we also have a matrix, which our incredible legislative representative Sarah Rounds prepared for us on other hot bills that are going through the Assembly and the Senate. So we're watching those. And I believe that we have a request for a letter from Councilmember Mark Wheatley from Arcata for a letter of support for his position as second vice president. And it says on our agenda for the Redwood Empire Division, but isn't that for the California League as a whole?
Yes, it's for the League of California Cities.
So, I would urge us to send a letter of support for Mark Wheatley.
Yeah, I actually attended the league meeting as well, and I wasn't at the legislative portion of the meeting because I had to work, but I did attend the business meeting as well as the reception and dinner afterwards. And during that time, we found out about Mark's willingness to run for second vice president for the league. I spoke with him and asked him to provide us with some information so that we could write a letter to support him. And Mr. Palazzo asked for some examples of what to put in that letter. And I can say that in my 7 years on the council, almost 7 years on the council, Mark has been on his council just as long. He is, what I respect about Mark is that he is probably one of the most devoted council members that I've come across in our Redwood Empire Division. He's very thoughtful, he's progressive and yet fair. He is really devoted to his community, but more so on a bigger picture, he's devoted to how legislation that comes through California affects Northern California cities. And he's easy to talk to, and he takes the time to do the job. And I just think that he would be a great candidate.
I agree wholeheartedly with those comments, and also I've known Mark for several years also, and he could move up to be president of the board of the league, which we've never had in Northern California, and he would sure tell the other 19 members where the North Coast is, especially those living in Los Angeles. So I recommend him highly.
His city just moved forward. It's very interesting. The city of Arcata just passed an energy use tax. And what we learned about that during this business meeting is that it's really to address the marijuana growers. Indoor marijuana growers, thank you. And so they worked with PG&E and legal counsel, and they actually passed this tax in the city of Arcata with 68% support. And the way that it works is that if your power bill is 600% above the baseline, you are charged a 45% tax. And they're out of the, I think it was 9,300 users, there are about 633 residences that meet that 600% increase above baseline. And so if you've now got a 45% tax. The caveat, though, is that the interesting part is that the city of Arcata has no idea who those residents are. That PG&E, keeps that information confidential and will not share that information. So, yeah, that makes it a little difficult, but I was very surprised that the city of Arcata, out of our entire region, would pass a tax like that. But it says, it's like they said, they're a very liberal community, but at the same time, they wanted to send a very clear message that they don't want grow houses in their neighborhoods where they're raising their children, and I respect that.
One of the major reasons it passed is because of fire, because the electrical load can't handle that, all that. It was a lot of fires and people were afraid that their houses were going to burn down if they lived next door to a person like that, so it passed, which is good, which was really good. Did you have any other comments?
So I'd take that as a consensus
Yes.
to prepare a letter for Mr. Wheatley.
Yes, we would wholeheartedly support
I
him.
had 3 other comments, and actually just to, Councilmember Murray did a great job sitting on the board.
Yes,
And
so far.
representing our community. Two things. I'd like to set a budget workshop meeting for June 10th in the evening at the wastewater treatment facility to go through the budget. Similar session that we had last year. Kind of get keep with the big picture of where we're at, and it'll help me get direction to finalize the budget document that'll come back before the council.
What time?
At council's pleasure. We can do it 6. It'll be Monday night.
Why don't we do it 5?
I can do 5.
5 o'clock is fine. We can do 5
Okay.
o'clock. June 10th. Will that work? Okay. The second item, we have done the asbestos abatement and got our permits for burning down the building on Front Street. It's the old Housing Authority building. I think it had several different, businesses and uses over the years.
Second and D.
Second and D. That'll be tomorrow night, starting at 5 o'clock in the Crescent City Volunteer Fire Department. I know. We will go over after our meeting and enjoy hot dogs. It's going to be kind of a family
See the
event.
smoke?
Could we have a
Well, they're going to have
live
barbecue
internet
for the
feed?
families, and
When
it's
is this?
tomorrow.
During our city county meeting.
And we do have a city county, but we're able to get our permits, and tomorrow night is training night. So they'll be out there taking care of that building, which will be a good thing. And he just talked to Mr. Weir real briefly. I kind of put him on the spot here. A clean sweep is coming up for the community, and they're doing some advertising. I don't know if you have, and off the top of your head, since we have the microphones here for the public, that's coming up.
For the free pickup.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening. So it's that time of year again. Every year the city puts on the annual Clean Sweep program. It's always the Tuesday and Wednesday after Memorial Day weekend. The program's designed to help city residents and the city as a whole kind of clean up their properties, and it's designed to encourage them to take their yard debris down, clean up their yards. If they put it out in front of their property, the city will come by and pick it up and haul it to the Del Norte Solid Waste Authority transfer station. So this is a program we're in cooperation with the Del Norte Solid Waste.
Only yard debris, no couches,
No refrigerators?
Only yard debris. Yeah,
Only yard debris.
Well, my yard debris is still sitting there because I chose to participate in the Recology pickup and they never picked it up. So it's still patiently waiting there for the city.
Well, very good. So we're going to pick up all the debris south of 9th Street on Tuesday, which would be the 28th, I believe, and north of 9th on Wednesday, the 29th.
And you don't have to call to make an appointment like Ecology.
Don't call to make an appointment. We will go around and if your debris out there.
How much brush can you put out?
You can put out as much brush as you want. It just has to be, in piles, and your limbs have to be cut down. I believe it's under 4 foot in length off the top of my head.
Okay.
So just in small piles that we can go and pick up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, is that it? Let's go to council reports. Councilmember Murray?
Yes, thank you. This Friday, there is the Safe Route to Schools endeavor, and I believe the majority of the council's participating in that, and if you have children, if you can walk them to school or ride your bikes together, that would be great. Let's see, on the 8th, I went to the Health Happens in Schools at the Veterans Hall, and it was sponsored by Building Healthy Communities. My favorite part of it was the Youth Media Slam movie premiere. It was absolutely fabulous, and the kids that pulled those all together did incredible. I couldn't vote for one in particular. They were all so good, but I do believe that our explorers took first place, so congratulations to them. And I'd like to see how we can get those media clips to Cassandra Hesseltine with Film Del Norte. I also had an opportunity at that meeting to meet Patrick Clary, the new Executive Director of Humboldt Area Foundation. On the 9th, I attended our local transportation commission meeting and the All Creatures Great and Small Chamber Mixer, which was terrific. They had a little dog exercise jump thing, which we all loved. On the 13th at LAFCO, and we adopted our budget for this next fiscal year. I want to remind everybody that Farmers Market starts on June 1st. I went to a farmers market meeting on the 16th, and the physical therapy
Northwest.
Northwest, their chamber mixer. And then as we've discussed, the Fortuna Redwood Empire Division meeting, well, Fortuna hosted it, and the great networking opportunity. The next Redwood Empire meeting will be July 19th, so we need to make our reservations for motels early if you're planning to attend. And I've already given our city clerk the heads up that she's expected to be there for a small performance. And then remember when we hosted it last July, Cloverdale wanted Robin to sing at their event.
Our clerk. I thought you said our chief needed to perform, have a small performance.
He could be.
The duet.
Yeah, he could be the back.
I didn't want to refer to a previous conversation we had, Mr. Chief.
And then the fireman's dinner Saturday night, it was terrific. Thank you again to all our volunteer fire people, and kudos to Chief Wakefield for all he does for our community, and his wife Deborah. The food was fabulous, and that's it.
Okay, Mr. Castano?
Hey, let's see, I was on the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, which was always informative. In the Visitors Bureau meeting, I also like to remind everybody that we have some French tour operators coming through our city on the 22nd and 23rd, so clean up the streets, make them feel welcome. And then I also was at the BHC collaborative meeting, which I'm happy and proud to say that a couple of my students were the winners of the Youth Media Slam. So it's a good time.
Councilmember Shalom?
Just to piggyback on that, I watched all the videos. I didn't get to go, so I just went to the website and watched all of the videos. They were amazing. I mean, I could not believe the talent from some of these kids, and I think that there should be some kind of way to celebrate them more, because even if we showed them here, they're just very short clips, and especially if we could take a look at the Explorers, because they did win first place. And I don't know who did that video, but it was so professional. I would have thought that a professional did it. It was that amazing.
Can I add to that? We're actually going to
Absolutely.
be using that film for the upcoming Leadership Academy as a part of the promotional package that's going to go out to
That you
other
should.
explorers.
Absolutely,
It
you
was
should.
outstanding.
You should submit it to academies across the country.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's actually a sheriff's explorer.
That was great. So I invite you all to check that out.
Her brother's one of our explorers, so.
So I wanted to say that Film Del Norte also is filmed in collaboration with Humboldt. The Film Commission is doing a sneak preview of the movie After Earth?
After Earth.
With Will Smith and his son Jaden, I believe, in Eureka, because it was filmed in Humboldt County. So we've been invited to be a part of that sneak preview next week. So I'm going to try to make it. Be kind of cool. I think so. Last council meeting, we had a visit from Danco Builders and a presentation and an invitation to go check out their buildings, so I did. I went down to Arcata and met with Chris Dart, and he took me through their plaza project downtown, and it was beautiful. It was a lot more than what I imagined. Their property manager is right on site. She lives there. She has an office there. They have a workout facility. They have laundry facility. They have parking. They have a community room. It's just it's beautiful. It's well maintained. It doesn't look, I don't know how old it is, but I know it's been there for a little while, and it still looks almost brand new. I was very impressed with the building, and I think that they would do a really good job. So I just wanted to pass that on. 4th of July update from the chamber. Mimi and Bob Stevens have been chosen as the grand marshals of the parade. And so I think that's pretty special. And so speaking of parade, if you're going to be in the parade, we need to start getting your parade entry forms turned into the chamber. We are doing the 2nd annual Palmer Westbrook Oat Hill Organic Beef Battle at the Beach Barbecue Wars. Whew.
Could you repeat that?
I'm chairing that event, and so I've been really working hard at saying that.
Jeez.
So really great prizes, cash prizes. Matt Westbrook is donating, a lot of organic beef to give away to the winners. And this will be the 2nd year. I'm hoping it'll grow, and then eventually the goal of the chamber is to have it put on the Master Barbecue Tour and make it its own event. So I think that's pretty exciting. So if you're a cook or a barbecuer, please join us. And tomorrow night we have a City Council Board of Supervisors joint meeting. So if you're interested in attending that, it's going to be right here in this room tomorrow night about 5 o'clock, I believe. And Lucky 7 Casino, I was out there today, so I just thought I'd mention it, that their hotel, they're hoping to actually have the grand opening or ribbon cutting or whatever that event is going to be in the first week of June. So that's just right around the corner. That's pretty exciting.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say that I enjoyed going to the league meeting. It was a good event. Fortuna did a great job. We got to meet, and there were attendees all the way from Healdsburg to Crescent City. So those kind of networking opportunities are always good, and it was a very enjoyable evening. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Hawley?
Thank you. I too attended the IGRC Intergovernmental Relations group. For those who don't know, that's made up of governmental agencies and public entities that it just gives them a quarterly opportunity to talk about what they've been doing. And we had a lot to contribute, I think, from the city. There's a lot happening here, and most of you have heard that as we've gone along. I was particularly impressed, though, with the Harbor District's presentation and the kinds of things that they're going to have happening this summer. It sounds like things are going to be very, very busy down in the harbor with several large projects. I think like $42 million worth of projects, something like that is what they represented. So that's exciting because, after all, we are just adjacent to the harbor, and I think that should benefit all of us. So very exciting things happening locally. Went to the Local Transportation Commission meeting as well. Probably one of the interesting parts of that were a number of sometimes kind of excited presentations before the commission having to do with the 197, 199 project. And the commission listened, but that group, largely the Friends of Del Norte, has combined with other groups, and actually, as we all know, lawsuit's been filed with Caltrans. So we don't know where that's going to end up, but as a member of LTCO, we're watching it carefully. Went to the LAFCO meeting. I went to I think it's a once-a-year meeting, so I get big credit for this. The Indian Gaming Commission, and that's an organization that occasionally has money to be spent to mitigate the effects of gambling in Indian casinos. And there were $16,000 on the table, and we came up with a plan. Unfortunately, I don't know if the plan's public or not, so I can't tell you, but we had some good ideas, and we did good work. Just so you know, just a little tease. Well, I'll tell you next week, next meeting. Senior Center Personnel Committee met, and we're redoing the personnel manual. I get to be involved with personnel, which is always
Interesting.
yeah, it's like riding a bicycle. And I also attended the firefighters dinner, and I was very impressed. One of the slides, we sat through a slideshow at the end of the evening. The last slide, though, said that we are the second busiest volunteer fire department in the state.
For our size, yes.
For our
size.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an impressive stat, because I think you said there's 600 volunteer fire departments or something. So we are a busy and effective fire department, and I too want to say thank you to all those firefighters.
Okay. And I thank you. And I attended a lot of the same meetings. The Safe Route to School is coming up this Friday. The Health Happens by the Building Healthy Communities, LTCO, Local Transportation Commission, the Chamber Mixer at Northwest Physical Therapy, and the Redwood Empire meeting also. And the Fireman's Award dinner, and by the way, that was both the City Fire Department and the District Fire Department, and they've been having that. This is their third annual one, where they gave a Firefighter of the Year award and also a Rookie of the Year award, and it was very nice. It was a very nice event. Okay, so that does it for our reports. We're going to adjourn to a closed session, and then don't forget, tomorrow night is a joint session of the Board of Supervisors and the City Council. It says 5:30 here, but it's 5 o'clock on our agenda. 5 o'clock here tomorrow is a joint meeting. So thank you for attending tonight.
And we're adjourning into closed session.
We're adjourning to a closed session, yes.